How serious should we take these threats?
I don't think we should take the physical threats too seriously. I think that they're definitely just trying to mess with us and cause propaganda.
Who are these people, by the way? I mean, have they been linked, Tal, officially to North Korea?
No, I think actually quite the opposite. I think that the North Korea thing is more and more likely to be a ruse.
And the Department of Homeland Security, by the way, says there's no credible intelligence to indicate that there is an active plot against movie theaters. Lucas, nonetheless, movie theater operators, at least one, taking this very seriously.
Yeah, and you've seen some reports about a couple of much smaller operators also canceling some screenings. The big question for Sony will be whether the 3 chains that are larger than Carmike also cancel screenings. If you had an AMC or a Regal, then that would really hurt the business prospects for this movie, and it would force Sony to reconsider its release plan.
You know, Lucas, going to the movies on December 25th seems a little depressing to me, but a lot of people do it, right? How big a day is that? How big a draw is that for movie theaters, Christmas Day?
Hey, I grew up doing it. It's a time of year when studios save major movies for. I mean, if you look at a movie like The Hobbit, it's come out around Christmas every year, 3 years in a row. You know, Sony moving The Interview back from, I think it was October to Christmas, was a sign that it thought that this was a movie that had real financial potential. It's, you know, it's one of the biggest movie-going days of the year.
By the way, it is a movie that a Sony exec himself said is really bad and criticized the acting, especially in it, by James Franco. Is that detrimental at all to ticket sales, Lucas?
No, I don't think so. Most viewers aren't paying attention to what a particular executive says. You know, the real question to me is whether all this attention scares people, because initially, when the hack had started, we ran a story on how this could help it because of all this added attention. You know, views of the trailer on YouTube spiked, searches, mentions on social media all went up. But now, as this gets a little scarier, there may be some people who pay attention and go, you know, I don't want to go on Christmas Day because I'm not sure what safety.
Of course, it's a welcome draw for Sony because, as the leaks show, the movie scored poorly in New York screenings, a little bit better with less educated people elsewhere. Tal, let me ask you about if you step back and look at the threats of terrorism on Christmas unrelated to the movie, is that a big concern around holidays?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have a large, gathering of people in a small physical space, it's, there's a threat. I mean, the biggest threats around the Christmas season is traditionally around the purchasing cycles, like Cyber Monday, Black Friday, that kind of stuff. I think there's less actual risk on Christmas Day itself because I think that the people are less likely to be gathered in, in large spots like cities and stuff like that. They'll be at home. Interesting that a group called the Guardians of Peace comes out with threats of violence, but I guess that's what terrorist groups do. Do we have any idea who these people are, Tal? Is there any way we can figure it out? Well, lots of people, lots of very, very intelligent people, many more intelligent than me, are actually, looking into this problem. We're specifically very interested in finding out who they are, and we're more concerned actually about the cascading effect of the Guardians of because there's a lot of people who are now trying to do copycat stuff. So, the sooner we get to the bottom of it, the better. And I think lots of people are working very hard on that problem. And Lucas, nobody wants to find out probably more than Sony. How bummed have they been about these leaks? I mean, Aaron Sorkin actually wrote an editorial hoping that news organizations would censor the information that they got. None really seem to have done that. But how much has this hurt Sony?
I mean, people there are a combination of scared and exhausted. It's talking with people who are currently there and who used to be there. They are blown away by the extent of the leak. And then the people who are there are trying to simultaneously do their day jobs, market a movie, release a movie, produce products that are going to come out next year, and kind of safeguard their security to the best of their ability, working with some of the people that Sony have provided. I actually have a question for Tal. Do you have a sense of how much this will cost Sony? Because talking about the security for those employees, how much this will cost them to protect thousands of people who work for them now and in the past?
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting about this is, there's been one part of the leaks that have come out have been actual assessments, damage assessments that they've done in advance, anticipating events like these because Sony has been breached before, and so it's tough to tell what's really at stake, and what we're researching, and I'm sure we'll be seeing in the near future, is the extent of the insurance that they have, both for the damage that was caused to them as well as the damage that was caused to third parties that may be suing them in the future. So, those details will come out soon. But we know that basically, based on their internal documents, we're talking their estimates were millions of dollars a day.